Hello, I'm Jana. I'm an animator, and today I want to show a tool that I've been using for our current game project called Patu quite a lot. And I have several characters in this game, like this dog, or we have this girl that's also using facial animations. And because I'm very lazy to build a rig and skin the character, I would love to introduce a tool called AutoRig Pro today. AutoRig Pro is a tool for Blender. You can purchase on the Blender market for $40, and it's really worth every dollar that you can spend on the project because it's very flexible and it also gets updated quite a lot. And if you have problems, you can also talk to Artel, the developer. And I really like the documentation, so everything that I'm talking about you also find if you search for something very quick. You don't need to watch this video, you can just look at the documentation. But for those who like to watch videos, I want to rig this troll today. So this is my character. Of course, before you rig a character, you should check the size, if he has the correct size. For that, I often like to add a cube. So he is a bridge troll. That means he's really much taller than just 2 meters. And after that, you can select the mesh and also apply all the transforms I already did. You can do that here. And after that, you can add the mesh. And it's really easy. You install AutoRig Pro, and you can just do that via the preferences when you downloaded it, with add-ons, install, and then you install the zip file. I already did this, that's why it's here in the toolbar, AutoRig Pro. So I think if you want to learn anything about installations, you can just check the documentation. It's described shorter than this here. So let's start this. You can do a rig in different variations, but I really like to start with AutoRig Pro Smart. It's a bit like you might have seen at Mixamo. You select the object, like this troll. I can decide if I want full body or facials only. I do full body with this troll. And now I can add the neck. It's a really complicated character because, yeah, well, the neck is not below the head, but over it. You select the chin, the shoulders. Note that you can change everything afterwards as well, so it's just for starting. And the ankles. Shit. Okay, that was the spine root, so the spine root. And the ankles. Okay, so now you set where your skeleton will be, and you can also do some presets, like how many spines do you want to have, for example. You can also change that after you set up those points, after the skeleton is, or the rig with the skeleton is created. You can say how many neck counts you want and how many twist counts. That's for rotating the feet and the hand. I say 3. And like the twist count, you should check with your game engine because I'm animating for Unity. I'm using the generic rig. If you have a humanoid rig, you have really to check if you can do more than 1 twist count. So now before I say go to create a skeleton, I can also do a facial step. This is really cool because with that you can have like a complete control over your character's face. I really like that, how it's done. But this character is really extreme. So I'm doing this just to show you what the rig is capable of. But actually, I'm not using all of that. With the latest update of AutoRig Pro, you can decide if you want to have all of the rig or just parts of it. Like, let's say you want the mouth only, or like only the eyes or the nose. And that's what I'm definitely going to decide for, because especially the mouth is very complicated and I'm not using this. But you see, the tool is really cool, it's really flexible, and it's also very, very well prepared. So now I changed the viewport to really move the face. Oh, let's do this again. So move this to the front. Because this is not only generating your skeleton, but it's also used for skinning, because this tool is automatically skinning your character. And I already know how the character, how this rig will look like, and maybe it's not the best character to show the powers of this facial rig, because this character is in every way very extreme. But it works. This is the character. For this, I only used the chin. Okay, I would say I stop here. I'm not super satisfied with that right now, but it does its work. Like, I'm not keeping, like I said, I'm not keeping all of the facials. So, and after that you have to do one more thing, and that's setting up the eye. And for that I already prepared the eyes. I cut them out of the overall lash, so I named it eye left and eye right. And that's what you have to add to the to AutoRig Pro. You just drag the eye left into the slot and the eye right into the slot, like the mesh. You already did, because I deleted the rig before that, so he still has the data. Yeah, well, and when you set up those points for the skeleton and the facials, you can say go. Now you can see it generated a skeleton, and it's not quite finished because we can still adjust some stuff. For example, the knees, I want to have them a bit more below, and also you should always, for the joints, like the elbow and the knee, you should always have like a definite arch in it. Yeah, don't do this what I just did accidentally, because it interrupts the bones. Always select both parts. So what is nice, that it's automatically mirrored, so it's already doing both sides. And what I also do is taking the roll out of here, because it's the wrong. So you can go to items on the right side and just put a 0 in there, and then the roll is perfectly back to normal. Do this with this again. All right, so the legs are fine. What you see is the head, of course, has problems. To check which bone you select, you go to the bone logo on the right side, and I put the head forward. and also rotate it. Put it into the head so the skinning knows where it is. And I did the mistake not doing it in the correct viewport, so it's rotated. If you check it from above, if that happens to you, no problem, you just reset the x-axis again, like both sides, both joints of the bone. Put 0 in there, and also of course change the roll back to 0. So he has a hump, and for that I also prepare this one. All right, so we got the spine. Now we go to the, let me check if I really get the spine. Yeah. Now we go to the arms. They look fine. Like again, check that here's a little arch in there. And the hand is a bit smaller. And you see like there are more fingers than we need. We got 3 fingers, we got 5 from the original hand. So you go to IRP, you go to IRP, go to limb options, and there you can count the fingers. Press OK, and then you got all the fingers you need. You have to do this on the other side as well, which is kind of cool because that means that you can have like a character that is not symmetrical with like different amounts of fingers. So now we scale that. So the tool did also mirror it on the right side, but I have to delete the other finger. So I go into the hand bone, limb options, and there I can put the pinky out. So don't delete some bones on your own, don't do that. Rather look for the options and change that. So, all right, so I think most of the parts we did. So now to the face. Like I said, I'm not using all of the bones the tool is giving me. And what you can do for that is you select the head, go to limb options, and in the latest update, which update is it? Let me check. Preferences, you look for Auto Rig Pro. It's the 3.65.24. Like 6.5 is the latest update where you can really choose which of the bones you want to keep. And I'm not keeping the soft lips. I keep the chin because I want him to open the mouth because he's going to speak. And of course you can add all facials at once if you did a mistake. I want him to use his eyebrows, his eye left, his eye right. He doesn't need to use his nose, he doesn't need to use his cheeks. The mouth is also not needed. So, and I want to have him have his eyelids. So that's okay. Some stuff is hidden now. Where you definitely will need to do a correction might be these here. Just check if all the tops are in the top and if the bottoms are in the bottom. But you can also change that afterwards, so that's okay. Or like this is, I think, the corner, it is. Can really put it into the corner. Okay. This here's a bit far at top. It's the eyebrow. Okay. So to me this looks good. Everything's in order. I'm saving this. So again, if you want to change stuff, you can always click into the limp options. For example, here you got the twist bones, and I want to have 3 in every hand, but I don't want 3 in every foot. So I can click on the limp options and say twist bones, only 1, because that's enough for a foot. Say okay. And also what you should check is if those little bones, they are checking like the width of your feet. You can also make them a bit smaller. Alright, so if you are happy with your skeleton, you go to Match Rig. You're still in the Rig tab and go to Match Rig. And now it automatically generates a beautiful rig with everything you need. All the helpers that will help you move your character. But you have to attach that now to the character. So what you do is you go to object mode in the top left corner. You select the character and then you select the rig. And then you go to skin and say bind. So now your character is rigged and also skinned. For that, to check if my mesh is correct, I always do something. Now I'm in modeling. You can go to animation or stay in modeling. I open up another window by going into the little corner here and just drag it up. And then in the top left of the new window, I choose timeline. So I get a play button and I got a timeline. And to animate and check your character, you have to select the rig and go to pose mode. And I start animating and just checking how my rig works. So in general, the feet and legs, they're amazing. They work really nice. Can rotate, check for that, use that. If you want to reset your bones, you just have to press Alt and G. Alt and G, or Alt and R if you rotated something. And now I see I forgot something because my character has a tail as well. If that happens to you, you can just easily go back to the rig, go back to reference bones, and there I can select the root and say add limb. Or you don't say add limb, you open this folder, and there you can say you want another head, you want more ears, or you want to have a tail. And if 4 bones are not enough for you, you should not, normally you can subdivide bones. Don't do that here with this tool. Go to the limb options and say 5. So that's very important because it doesn't work the other way. Go to the correct viewport so it doesn't rotate the bones. For that, because I always like to drop the bones where I already divided the mesh. For that you can also choose wireframe, like in this window. Drop down geometry wireframe, put the wireframe on. Because it looks always better when you animate where you really have details in the mesh, like this. Here I should have made more details. I still can do that, but I'm not doing this now. All right, so now we have this bone, and we can go back to match to rig. And now you see your character has this wonderful tail that you can control here. But as you can see, it doesn't add, it didn't bind this now to the character, so you can do this again. Go out of the pose mode, select the character, select the rig, and say bind. And now you can have a tail. And this is really what I love about AutoRig Pro, that you did a mistake in your rig, you forgot something, and you can just easily add it and it doesn't destroy anything. And it also rigs you afterwards. This is super flexible. But although it's skinning everything for you, that doesn't mean that you don't have to do some adjustments. For that, you go out of into object mode, click on your mesh, go to weight paint, and in the right tab of Blender, you go to this object data properties, and I mostly just really get through every vertex group and just check if they are correct the way I want them. For example, like this loin, I have to add to the bones of the tail, so that when the tail moves up, that the loin goes with it. I'm not skinning this for you with you now because it's really a lot of detail. For example, the toes, because we only have one toe, and I don't want to animate every single toe. I just want to animate them like in a pack. So it's okay for that. With that, you can animate your toe. And this is also what you should do when you paint your weights. You go into the rig, pose mode, and you animate the part that you want to paint. So like this, it moves up and it moves down. And then I go back to the weight paint. And you can really use the animation to check if it's moving good. So for weight paint, you got the weight. One means that it's completely the bone is completely transforming the mesh that you painted red, like I want to have with these toes. Oops, with these toes. You can also make the strength when you want to have like a softer gradient in it, and the radius of your pen. Make it a bit softer in this part. If you do the mistake like I just did, go down with the weight and just delete the other side. Like this. So Now you can animate it and you see it moves. So why is the middle, like the second toe, moving higher than the arms, although all are red of them? What you have to do, of course, is now you don't just adjust the toes, because although you said it should have all of the weights for this bone, it still has some weight paint from this. So you have to paint all of them blue. Now you're in the feet bone, and you have to tell the feet bone that it's not allowed to move these. So now you see they're all in the same height when you animate them. And you can still make some details like in these parts if you like. Okay, that's one thing I want you to show. Another thing that is very important is sometimes stuff moves that you don't want to be moving. Like for example, let's check the ears. Yeah, the ears. So for them, I go back to object. Also a tip, always animate and skin your character with the texture on, so you can see if it's not too much disturbed by being moved. Go to pose mode, select the ears, and probably this bone is too far below, but let's just use it. And you see with the ear there is very much moving, like more than you would expect would be moving like with the ear. So I also animate this, move it here. And then I go back to the character, go into the edit mode, because I want to mark all the vertices that belong to the ears. So I do this. With Alt Z you can make transparency. With Control Plus you can now enlarge the area. So I'm going to select all the vertices that I really want to belong to the ear. Like this. And now what you can say is like you go to select, invert, and now you selected all the others. So why did I do this? Now you go to the weight pane and select this little icon here, vertex selection, and now you see everyone, all those vertices are selected but the ear. And that's correct, because now I want to remove all the vertices that don't belong into the selection of the ear. So I just go to remove and remove, and when you now animate the ear, you still see that you should move the bone inside, like when you go back to rig, edit reference bones, you should like change the place of the bone, but it's now animated perfectly. Yeah, I guess that's all I want to show about this tool. This is my final character. I really love all the tools that you got for like moving the eyes, especially. The chin is very simple in this part. Like I did this very okay, and I have something I can correct after this tutorial. Maybe refer, you see like all of the potential you got for this tool. Like with that you can really move the chin. You have a tongue you can use, which I'm not using with fur so much, but especially with the dog I'm using the tongue, the lips, the cheeks. Okay. You also got the eyelids, the eyebrow, and as you can see, I rigged the head, her head into her eyebrow, which is wrong. But I'm also only using this rig for the animation. I have a better one that I'm using in the game. Yeah. So an amazing tool that I can really, really recommend here. And now you know how to use it. Have fun.